Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special project that I've admittedly had in my backlog since April of 2014. But this is the first time I'm actually putting commentary to it, a year and a half later. So, there is a good reason for that. I'll probably rant and rave about that reason much later, but for right now, let's just set the stage. This is Metroid Prime, as if this game needs any introduction. This is the trilogy version on Wii. This is veteran difficulty, and it's going to be a 100% speedrun, going through and collecting every piece of equipment that we can. I will not be doing 100% scan data, but I will be going through periodically and telling you what you can miss, what you can't, if this happens to be your first time playing through the game alongside me. In that case, welcome, you picked a hell of a game. Easily number 3 on my best games ever made. 1 being Super Metroid, 2 being Chrono Trigger, this being 3. I don't think you could go wrong with any of them. This, as I said, is the trilogy version. I'm on veteran difficulty, and if you're playing the Gamecube version, you may be a little confused by 3 difficulties instead of 2. Well, the latter 2 difficulties on the Wii version basically parallel the Gamecube's 2 difficulties. What the Wii version calls normal is really baby's first Metroid difficulty. Don't play it on that. It really doesn't promote any sense of strategic combat. You can face tank shots. Enemies die pitifully easily. Don't play it on that. But this is Samus Aran, the heroine of the Metroid series, the first lady of video games, if you want to call her that. And I just called Samus a lady, which, please forgive me, Samus, don't shoot me. But as you can see in the distance, that is Planet Talon 4. We have landed, as you could read from the initial text, on the space pirate frigate, the Orpheon. This is basically going to be our tutorial area in the game. There's going to be a lot of text, which if this is your first time playing Metroid Prime, you can go through and read and play the game at your own leisure. You don't have to, obviously, blitz through it as fast as I am. But again, tutorial area. It gives you a few toys to start off with. You see me, I'm doing the spring ball, which you can do in the trilogy, not the GameCube version because of the motion gimmick. You have the charge shot, you have the missiles, you have the Various Suit for added protection. You also have the grapple beam that you can swing around with in the later parts of the ship. And you have the Morph Ball bombs. Pretty basic arsenal. Again, it's really a tutorial area to get you acquainted with combat. Lock-on is important. You can strafe when you're locked on. If you choose to have the option enabled here in the Wii version, there's lock-on free aiming, which allows you to strafe, but still be able to have the luxury of just aiming your cursor around. Another important feature, which this place is basically designed to be a tutorial for, is the scan visor. The scan visor is pretty much the glue that basically makes the trilogy the trilogy. It is easily the most important piece that Samus has in her arsenal, besides, obviously her arm cannon or her suit itself, if you want to be technical. But it's easily the most important addition that this game introduced. The scan visor allows you to interact with the environment. In this room in particular, I just passed by a missable piece of pirate data. I'm not going for 100% scans in this playthrough, just fair warning. But you can scan data, pirate data, Chozo Lore. The story of this game is kind of its own collectible. And that's a really interesting way to present it. It's very Metroid-like. Not very Hollywood, not very in-your-face with the storytelling, kind of makes the story optional. And if you're curious as to what happened on this ship or on Talon 4, you can find out just by scanning around. You don't even have to scan the required stuff. There's a bunch of miscellaneous things lying around which you can scan, which give you a bunch of information. So, if you're asking what the hell is going on, use the scan visor. If you're battling an enemy where you're like, what the hell do I do if just shooting it isn't working? Use the scan visor. If you're looking around trying to find something, the scan visor is usually there to help. These turrets, for example. Not these particular turrets, but some turrets in this game. There is a node around which you can scan, and that disables them entirely. Very useful later on when you encounter mega turrets, but that's much later in the game. The scan visor, again, it's the glue that holds the entire Prime game up. It makes it very distinctly Metroid, but it's a great addition. And this, if you've played a video game before and you know a big massive room, this is a boss room. This is the Parasite Queen, first boss of the game. Scan her if you like. I do just because I want the ability to lock onto her weak point. Very rarely does the scan visor, is it required to really lock onto a weak point. And you see what I'm doing here? That's missile canceling. That's an advanced tactic. You don't have to do that. But basically Samus's missiles have a cooldown to them, where it can be cancelled, in this game only, by pressing the beam fire button. So the idea is you have the tip of your thumb on the missile button and the base of your thumb on the beam button, and you just kind of tilt it back and forth, and you can very easily do missile cancelling. And it wouldn't be a Metroid game without an escape sequence. Samus just loves blowing the hell out of everything she comes across. And this is an example right here of me disabling a turret. You're going to see at the top of this elevator shaft, perimeter defense turret disabled. Its light goes from red to green, and voila, you've just skipped a turret that you would have had to deal with. Not important early on when turrets die in one charge shot, but later when you're dealing with mega turrets, it might be a little bit better. And as I said before, there is one final thing that you can miss scanning, and that is these parasites. These parasites are an interesting kind of swarm enemy that Prime has in kind of its hallway areas. Most notably in the Chozo ruins, you have scarab beetles, and you can actually destroy huge clumps of them at a time with a single missile. And if you do that, they actually have a much better chance of dropping pickups, health, missiles, things like that. So if you're low, odds are it's a good idea to lay waste to the swarm enemies, and you can... It almost makes for a recharge room, so to speak. But escaping from the Orpheon is very simple, which is why I haven't been talking too much about it. I'm just kind of trying to set the stage, because I want this playthrough to be accessible to people who haven't played Metroid before. Because it really is a good series, and if your first impression of the series is with somebody who kind of knows the game and can explain certain things, rather than a dipshit who doesn't have the patience to learn anything at all, well, let's just say I think it's an unbiased opinion that that's probably the better way to experience it if you want to have a video to follow along. But this is Samus's nemesis. The leader of the space pirates, the space pterodactyl dragon thingy, you're really not sure what the hell he is. Ridley! Resurrected from the events of the first Metroid game, he has a bunch of cybernetic implants to make him Meta Ridley. And as you can see, Samus is just pissed at seeing him still alive. That's awesome. Non-verbal. You don't need a Hollywood fucking movie scene to show off a character's emotional attachment to a situation at hand. And again, it wouldn't be a Metroid game without Samus losing her equipment or starting off bare bones or etc., etc., etc. I don't know why the electrical thingy just caused a huge suit malfunction, but it did. Various suits gone, so we've lost our added protection. We've lost our morph ball, we've lost our missiles, we've lost our charge beam, we've lost our grapple beam. Pretty much the only thing she can do is jump and shoot. But that's all we need. And as an added note, most of what we've lost, with the exception of the grapple beam, we will be getting back in the first major area of Talon. So, fret not. We'll be getting them back shortly. But our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to track down Ridley and lay waste to him once and for all. Or at least figure out what the fuck the space pirates are doing on Talon 4, which we will be doing. Again, you can scan to your heart's content. I will actually be going through during elevator sequences, which have huge periods of downtime, and I'll try and read some of the Chozo lore to you guys to kind of put the backstory of what happened on this absolutely majestic planet, kind of put it into focus, if for whatever reason you are not a fan of going through and reading them yourself. As you can see, we've lost track of Ridley, so we're just going to go to a landing point on the surface of Talon 4, the Talon Overworld. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is awesome. If I could live in Talon Overworld, I would. It's always raining, and it's green as hell. I love that. Green, rain. I'm in heaven there. Take me to Seattle, please. Fly me to Seattle, Sammy. Make it happen. But now that the business on the Orpheon is taken care of, we will be going back there, but maybe not in the capacity that you might originally think. Yep, seems to be clear. Obviously, save any chance you can get. You never know if this is your first time playing when you might encounter a boss, and some of the bosses in this game can be a little bit challenging. But again, we are bare bones Samus Aran right now. We can't even charge our shots. Luckily, most of the enemies die with a couple shots of Samus's lemons. Nerf balls, whatever the fuck you want to call our regular power beam shots. But it's a hop, skip, and a jump to the Chozo Ruins, and that is where I will see you guys on the next episode of Metroid Prime Trilogy Edition Speedrun. Let's put some fancy schmancy title on it. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you, fuck you, bye.